Another thing I was fascinated with this particular piece was the shadows.
So I just wanted to start out by talking about Grace Engine and thinking about the ensemble work, which feels like you have to work so closely together and really know the space, each other, the movement. And if you could talk a little bit about building that section, because you're not, the music is pretty arrhythmic and uncountable at that point. So could you talk a little bit about that process?
Well, she wasn't able to dance so much in this creation that we did, so she let us do a lot of the movement, and we started with 10 different words or cues, so we all created our own movement of 10 different things, and then we coordinated it with those rhythms. So all the beginning is stuff that we did.
And so she was coaching you from the outside instead of demonstrating and teaching you movement.
Exactly.
And what was it like for you guys to have that kind of input? It's a very different sensibility from learn this movement material.
It was nice. It's challenging because you have to face yourself in a different way. But she was able to give us some input and help us with things if we were struggling in moments. But yeah, it was nice. We worked with her on another piece before, so we had a little bit of
the choreographer,
movement.
Crystal Pite, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we go into a very, very different world with Tuplet, and we've been looking at an ensemble, and then all of a sudden it's about the individual. And Guillaume, maybe you could talk about what it's like to hear your name be part of the soundtrack, and what it's like to have to react, know it's your name, know it's you, but it's also part of the sound score that we hear.
It's a big part of the world of this choreographer, Alexandra Ekman. It's nice because you can use all the material that you have, your body for the movement and your voice for the music. So the voice corresponds at your body, and I like it.
But the thing I was thinking is, as over the course of the week, we're seeing different dancers do that piece. So it's not even like the sound is the same every night. So depending on whether it's Billy or John Bon or something so you don't even really have that to count on to keep a sort of through line. So it feels like it might keep it a little anxious.
We make sure we hear the names. So before each performance, okay, which cast are we doing? Let's hear the names. The rhythm is different. The timing in between the names is 1 second or a millisecond. So, and we have one dancer who does the both cast, Matthew Rich. And he has to know the slight difference between the two soundtracks.
Can you talk a little bit about the generation of those solo sort of signatures tied to the different dancers' names? I'm imagining you getting to see all of that solo material developed.
To the names?
Yeah.
Alexander Ekman gave a lot of freedom, I will say, or really enjoyed the collaboration with the dancers. So the dancers came up with their movement, what they would like to do on the names, and then he guided them to make sure that it was coherent or made sense to his eyes. You can really see their personalities with what they chose.
Which is such a nice contrast in programming from that sort of dark world of Crystal Pite, where it's about this, are they a community or some kind of mob, and then all of a sudden these pops of people's identities. And it was also striking is how different the movement sensibilities are. And maybe you could talk from your position as the ballet master or mistress about whether, depending on the repertory, whether class during the day changes and how you prepare the dancers for these kinds of performances.
The preparation, the class are affected by what we'll dance later or what we're working on during the year, for sure. I make sure that I keep attention and see the needs of the dancers to really be a great voice for an artistic vision. It's the dancers and myself needs to be fluent in different languages of movement. Crystal Pite, Alexandra Ekman, Jo Stromgren, very different already, and this is just a few examples of the rep we have. So the class, yes, for a piece like Crystal, they need to be on their feet, and yet there needs to be a lot of spine movement even though it was stopped in Grace Engine, there is at some moments really they need to be able to just go into a crazy position in no time. So we make sure we articulate the spine and get that energy going. For something like Alexander Ekman, it's physically will be more precise and sharp and very from the center. So we'll get something going. It's exciting. This is actually I think the beauty of being in a repertory company.
Is to have that variety of experience. Well, going now into Jo Stromgren's piece, this final piece we're in, totally different worlds. So over the course of the week, I think you both dance in all three pieces. So can you talk a little bit about what it's like to just think about being in those worlds? Because you're not so much specific characters, but you're really different people and really different dancers, not just in the dancing itself, but sort of the women in this cast and their sort of saucy thing that is more distinguishable from the women's roles in the earlier pieces. So maybe you can start by saying something about that, Acacia.
I love doing this piece because he gave us a lot of kind of theatrical ideas and more subtle things what not to do. So just looking really straightforward gives a lot of impression if you have that interaction with someone else. So I got to play with something that's not just the movement. He's more focused on the theatrics, which is fun. And I kind of developed my own character through it.
And then there's also there's all this other stuff you have to do. It's all keeping track of stuff on the floor and changing costumes and all of that stuff. So how is that layering into the world for you? Does it feel like you are in a place that becomes really specific?
I just imagine that I'm at work and I'm trying to make sure that all the papers are good and perfectly in line, and I have a little bit of fun, and the end is like a birthday party to me after work. I don't know, I have my own little story, so I can kind of play through the whole thing.
Alexandra, how about for you? You've been with the company for a long time, and so you sort of have been shaping the dancers and training them to be able to be so versatile and fully present in the dancing. Could you talk a little bit about the ride for you?
What an amazing ride. Look at Acacia. Wow. First of all, dancers are very, very talented. The skills are there. Sometimes when they come in the company, it's just potential. You see the seed, and you have to find the ways, the words. They're all so different, as you could see physically, but also their personalities and their background, starting from a strong ballet technique to more jazz, to more competition. So for me, it's very interesting. So, what will be the way to get to really make that person discover what's inside? It's right there. It's just finding the keys to open doors.
So what you were saying about taking dancers of different backgrounds, and it seems like your goal is to create an ensemble of them, but not to make them all look the same. Like we don't want a corps de ballet here. We want to really see who they are.
This is where it becomes interesting, is to have all those from different countries. We have all over the world, different backgrounds, educations, philosophies, not even philosophies, but just ways of life, values, principles, work ethics, talents there, and how you make it that they keep and you embrace and encourage that individuality, and yet still define a group, a collective, a brand, something, this is a Cedar Lake dancer, how?
Let me open it up for a couple of your questions or comments. So this is a question about sort of the life of a piece and how, just as the dancers are developing, as the pieces settle in and you get to know them better, how do they develop and the sort of narratives of the pieces themselves?
It depends on each dancer, but I would say a confidence comes in and they take a little bit more risks. In the last piece, theatricality, every night, I've seen that piece many times, and I'm always surprised. Something will happen, or they will try a little something new. So they keep it very much alive, and I think they take, more risks. Whether physically, theatricality, with timing, with each other.
Can you feel that as you settle into dances, how they sort of get a little more complicated as you understand them more?
Definitely. I find more subtle moments and more moments to look at somebody or see something or feel something different and keep it a little spontaneous. And yeah, let it grow. It always grows.